Welcome back to the Technology Risk Podcast. It's great to have you listening in. Hey, before we jump into today's story, which is quite something, if you enjoy what we do here, please take a second and hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. It really does help us keep these conversations going. So today, wow, we're looking at a situation that's got a lot of people talking. How did Google end up getting hit by a cyber attack? And not just any attack, but a phishing campaign targeting Salesforce data, something they'd actually warned people about themselves. It really shows, doesn't it, that even the biggest players aren't completely immune. We're talking about the group ShinyHunters here.
Yeah, it's a fascinating case study, really. Kind of perfectly illustrates this ongoing battle in cybersecurity. It's not always about the most sophisticated code exploits. Sometimes it's about exploiting something much more fundamental.
Yeah.
Human nature. Our instinct to trust, to help out, especially under pressure. Attackers are, frankly, getting incredibly good at weaponizing that. And that leads to the big question we want to tackle today. Why? Why are even these incredibly advanced tech organizations still falling victim to social engineering? Our goal here is to really dig into those reasons, why tech giants can be vulnerable, and why ultimately real prevention has to focus just as much on people on awareness, judgment, as it does on technical defenses, maybe even more so.
Absolutely. And this isn't just a one-off, is it? It's not like this only happens to the Googles of the world. For perspective, that Verizon DBIR report, the Data Breach Investigations report, always a good read, it found that, 74% of U.S. businesses had a successful phishing attack last year?
74%, yeah.
That's huge. It's the most common way attackers get their foot in the door. So even if you're deep in the security world, that number, it's still pretty sobering. Social engineering isn't niche, it's the front line. Okay, so let's unpack the how. How did ShinyHunters actually manage this against Google? What was their method?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. They didn't just rely on emails, which, we're all getting better at spotting, hopefully. They heavily used voice phishing or vishing. Think targeted phone calls. Attackers actually called employees pretending to be someone trustworthy, maybe internal IT support, someone needing urgent help.
Like actual phone conversations.
Exactly. Live conversations designed to build rapport, create urgency, and pressure the employee into giving up information or access. It completely bypasses email filters because it's happening over the phone. And in this Google case, it seems they convinced staff to provide details related to Salesforce access. Now, Salesforce holds customer data, contact info, incredibly valuable stuff for criminals.
Right, especially SMB contact data, as you mentioned, small and medium businesses.
Precisely. Names, roles, companies, maybe direct lines. It's a ready-made list for their next attack, allowing them to launch highly personalized, very convincing spear phishing, or even more vishing calls against those contacts. And the trend backs this up. Interpol noted this massive jump, 550% in vishing attacks since 2022. Attackers are definitely shifting towards these more direct, high-pressure tactics.
That 550% number is just wild. It really shows a strategic shift. And they went after specific weak points, right? Like help desks, customer support lines.
That's a common tactic, yeah. Those teams are trained to be helpful. They want to solve problems quickly. It's their job.
So they're almost pre-programmed to trust someone asking for help.
In a way, yes. Their helpfulness becomes the vulnerability the attackers exploit. They're often under pressure, maybe dealing with high call volumes. It's fertile ground for manipulation.
We've seen similar things with bypassing MFA, multi-factor authentication, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Where attackers call up, pretend there's a login issue, and trick the employee into approving the MFA prompt on their end or even reading out a code.
Exactly. Can you just help me test this? Or are you seeing a notification? Can you just approve it so we can fix this? It plays on that desire to resolve the issue quickly and be cooperative.
So it wasn't just random dialing either. They did their homework.
Definitely not random. This was planned. ShinyHunters likely did reconnaissance. They researched their targets. Who works where? What's their role? What kind of internal language do they use? They tailor their scripts, their personas, to sound much more believable. It reduces suspicion right from the start. It's not a generic scam call. It feels specific, maybe even internal.
And that personalization makes a huge difference.
It really does. Proofpoint found personalized phishing is, 42% more likely to succeed? That's a massive increase in effectiveness just from doing a bit of research and tailoring the approach. It makes it so much harder to spot.
Okay, this is the part that I think blows people's minds. Google. They have some of the smartest engineers, the best security tech imaginable. So how did this still happen? What broke down?
Well, that's the crux of it, isn't it? Their technical defenses, which are undoubtedly world-class, were probably working fine. But the attack wasn't aimed at the tech. It was aimed squarely at the people. It targeted human trust, human decision-making processes. It was a human-centered attack, plain and simple.
So the firewalls, the intrusion detection, they just didn't see it coming because it wasn't a technical intrusion in the traditional sense.
Largely, yes. It's like having the world's strongest castle walls, but the attacker convinces a guard to just open the gate for them. The walls didn't fail, the human interaction was exploited, and that IBM statistic is so telling. 90% of breaches involve a human element. It's not always error like clicking a bad link. Sometimes it's being actively manipulated. Attackers turn our desire to be helpful or efficient against us.
90%. It really hammers home where the focus needs to be, but it also feels like speed was a factor here too, right? ShinyHunters moved fast.
Speed is definitely part of the playbook. They exploit that initial trust quickly, get what they need, and get out, often before security teams even realize what's happening or can fully respond. Once that human trust is breached, the clock is ticking very fast.
And is there maybe also a bit of complacency? Like in a big tech company, maybe people think, we have the best tech, we're safe, and underestimate the social engineering angle.
I think that it won't happen here. Mentality can definitely be a factor, maybe subconsciously. Organizations invest so much in technical defenses, which is essential, of course, but it can sometimes lead to underestimating the risk of someone simply talking their way in. Social engineering doesn't care how strong your firewall is if it can trick someone on the inside.
So let's talk consequences. What did this actually mean for Google, for the businesses whose data got exposed? What are the real-world ripples from something like this?
Well, the direct impact was that SMB contact data exposure. Names, companies, maybe emails or phone numbers. Now, that might not sound as immediately damaging as financial data, but for criminals, it's gold. They can sell it, or more likely use it for highly targeted follow-up attacks. Spear phishing, more phishing, it fuels the next round of scams.
It's like handing them a curated list of future victims.
Pretty much. And then there's the reputation hit. For a company like Google, whose brand is built on trust and security, admitting they were successfully phished, that hurts.
Yeah, public trust is fragile. That PwC data point, 60% of customers losing trust after a phishing breach, that's a serious number. Rebuilding that confidence takes time and effort.
Absolutely. It undermines the perception of competence, even if the actual data loss was contained. And there's another angle. These high-profile successes act like advertising for the attackers. It emboldens other criminal groups. They see ShinyHunters pull this off against Google, and they think, okay, this tactic works, let's try it. It potentially raises the threat level for everyone.
It's like proof of concept for the bad guys. Scary stuff. Okay, so the million-dollar question. If tech alone isn't the answer, what can organizations do? How do you defend against this?
It really starts with training, but specifically training for these newer methods. We do email phishing tests all the time, right?
Right, yeah. Mandatory training.
But we need to be doing regular, realistic phishing simulations too. Phone-based scenarios. Get people used to recognizing the red flags in a live conversation. And it demonstrably works. KnowBe4 found organizations doing this see, on average, a 50% drop in susceptibility over time. That's a real, tangible improvement.
Training is key, but what about process? If someone gets a suspicious call, what should they actually do?
That's critical. Strengthen identity verification. There need to be strict, clear, non-negotiable procedures for any request that involves access or sensitive data. Someone calls claiming to be IT needing your password. Nope. The procedure should be: hang out, find the official internal IT number yourself, and call them back. Or use a secure internal chat. Put the verification burden on the caller.
So don't trust. Always verify independently.
Exactly. And layer those controls. Combine the technical stuff, MFA, good access controls, limiting what any one account can do, systems that spot unusual activity, combine that with the human element. Trained people, clear reporting processes, they work together.
Which leads to culture, doesn't it? Making it okay to hesitate.
Absolutely crucial. Foster a pause and verify culture. Make it not just acceptable, but encouraged for employees to slow down, question things, double-check, even if a request seems urgent or comes from someone seemingly important.
Like the classic CEO needs urgent gift cards, email, or text.
Precisely. That moment of doubt, that ability to pause without feeling like you're obstructing things, that can be your strongest defense. Because if someone can just talk their way past your human firewall, the tech doesn't matter much.
It's powerful to see how this plays out in reality. Can you share maybe an example of where good prevention worked and maybe one where it didn't?
Sure. Let's think about a success story first. Picture a healthcare organization, always a big target. They were getting hit hard with phishing calls, very convincing impersonations of their IT department asking for credentials.
Okay, similar setup.
But they had one simple, rigorously enforced rule. If anyone calls asking for credentials or remote access, hang up and call the official IT help desk number back directly. No exceptions.
Just a simple callback verification.
Simple but mandatory. And it worked. Attackers tried multiple times, very convincingly, but they couldn't get past that simple procedural step. It stopped the attack cold before it could escalate. The lesson. Simple enforced procedures can be incredibly effective.
Okay, so that's the good outcome. What about the flip side?
Contrast that with, say, a financial firm. Employees there were reporting suspicious calls. They had that initial awareness, that gut feeling something was wrong.
So they knew something was fishy.
Right. But the process for reporting wasn't clear. Or maybe management didn't take the report seriously enough. Perhaps a culture of don't bother security unless you're sure. Or prioritizing speed over caution.
So the warnings fell on deaf ears.
Essentially, yes. The awareness was there, but it wasn't connected to an effective response mechanism. And the result? Attackers eventually succeeded, gained access to customer accounts, queue regulatory fines, lost customers, major reputation damage. The lesson there is pretty stark. Awareness training is pointless if employees aren't empowered and equipped to act on it safely and effectively.
Those examples really drive the point home. Looking forward then, how do organizations stay ahead? These tactics will keep evolving. What's next for defense?
Well, first, keep broadening that training scope. Don't just focus on email phishing. Cover phishing, like we've discussed. Cover smishing, that's phishing via SMS or text messages.
Yeah, the text message scam.
And even pretexting, creating elaborate fake scenarios, sometimes even in person. Training needs to adapt as the threats do.
And faster response. If someone does spot something.
Absolutely. Build clear, fast incident response paths, specifically for social engineering attempts. When an employee raises a flag, security needs to jump on it immediately. Investigate, contain, mitigate. Minutes matter.
Makes sense. Get ahead of it before damage is done.
And the last piece is collaboration. Share threat intelligence. Talk to your peers in the industry. What scams are they seeing? What tactics are working? If one company spots a new phishing script or a specific fraudulent number being used, sharing that intelligence quickly can help protect everyone. It creates a sort of community defense network.
A collective early warning system. I like that.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. The Google incident, the ShinyHunters attack. It's a really potent reminder, isn't it? No matter how big you are, how much tech you have, you're not immune to clever social engineering.
Not at all. It highlights that the human element is always going to be a key battleground. Attackers know this, and they are incredibly adept at finding and exploiting our natural tendencies.
So prevention has to be holistic. Good tech, yes, but also well-trained, aware, and crucially empowered employees.
That's the key. Empowered. Your security culture needs to support people questioning things. That awareness, combined with strong processes in tech, is the best defense. So we'd really encourage you, listening now, to take a look at your own organization's defenses against this, especially the phone-based stuff. How easy is it for someone to talk their way in? Test it. Don't assume you're covered.
And maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. Cybersecurity isn't fundamentally about technology. It's about people. The attackers have figured that out. The real question is, have we? Thanks so much for tuning into the Technology Risk Podcast. Hopefully this gave you some valuable things to think about for your own work and security posture. Please do remember to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you haven't already so you catch our next conversation. Until then, stay safe.